Yes.
Okay, thank you. So the Southern California Horticultural Society has done for many, many, many years since it started a plant forum. And you can see this is how we normally do it when we have a meeting. We display things on a table and we get to talk about them. And so now doing our meetings via Zoom, we actually have to do it this way. So we'll do it as a slideshow. Wait a minute. Why am I not? There. Okay. The first plant is Drosanthemum speciosum Pelle. This Laura Bauer sent this picture in. And one of the cool things is there's a lot of breeding going on with ice plants, which, as I like in her comments here, that she says she tends to dismiss them as freeway plants. And there's a number of genus where if there's thugs that, it gives the whole bunch of them a bad name. And it's kind of unfortunate. There are things like Carpobrodus and in the ice plant family that really are thugs. Or I remember actually in Pacific horticulture, somebody compared it to the horticultural equivalent of packing peanuts. But then there are beautiful things like this. There's a number of new hybrids coming out that have these amazing colors. And one of the things that's notable here is that it's a small mounding bush. She says it's 3 by 3. And when they're not really rampant growers, they're much easier to deal with when they actually stay in place. And if you've been lucky enough to go to a place like Kirsten Bosch, you will see ice plant used in a way that will just knock your socks off. And I don't see them grow that well here, but they really can be spectacular. She got this from Annie's Annuals, by the way. The next is Eriogonum crocatum. This is Caneo buckwheat. And this is also from Laura Bauer. And she says that it's actually easier to grow than most of the other yellow flowering buckwheats. One of the really cool things here too is to note the size on this, that it's 1 by 3. This is a very compact little plant, very tough, and great for using in tight areas where you don't have that much planting room. Many of our native plants can get enormous, where something like this you can tuck into a smaller space, and it's absolutely beautiful. The contrast between the silvery foliage and the yellow, greenish, almost greenish yellow flowers is really quite something. Also it's a rare plant, comes from a very localized area, and is truly worth finding where you can at native plant sales or native plant nurseries. So that's Caneo buckwheat. This next is from Sandy Masuo, who has quite a thing for plants that look like sticks or bits of like pencils or leafless twigs. When you have a passion, you have a passion. This is Pellergonium tetragonum, or the square stack cranesbill. And as she notes here, it says it can get up to 6 feet in the wild or in a garden, but she has it growing in cactus mix in a pot. And a lot of these collectors, Pellergoniums, are really, structurally, they're really fascinating. There's some that are twisted and knobby and just have peculiar plant structures, and the flowers are just an extra. It's kind of like a bonus that you get on top of that. And as she points out here, hummingbirds actually will feed from these, so useful in that as well. But for those of you who do have a passion for the peculiar, this one would actually be, this would be right up there on the list. So this was from a plant sale, it says. And I actually might want to beg a cutting of this one to add to my collection. I have a few oddities, maybe not so many as Sandy. I need to get myself out of, whoops. I don't know how I go, there we go. My picture is right over the name, so I'm gonna, oh, there we go. Caramedendron pentadactylon. Gosh, I'd say that 10 times quickly. The monkey hand tree from Mexico and Guatemala. This one is growing in Kenneth Hahn Park in Los Angeles. And this really peculiar flower structure is quite something. This is, it also makes the litter under the tree look really strange. I don't think I've ever seen this in a garden setting. I've only ever seen it at botanic gardens, and arboretums. So I really should go and try and get a look at that one in the park. Eric and Ann Brooks sent this in, and it's in flower now, and you can go to that same park and see it yourself. They also put in here that San Marcos Growers carries this. So again, I haven't seen it used in gardens much, but it's really quite something. The flowers are quite peculiar. Okay, we have a mystery plant here. And for anyone out there who, if you haven't done this before, on a Zoom meeting, after we get done with this, there's a chat button at the very bottom, or at least on my screen, it's at the bottom. It may be in a different place on yours, but there's a chat or raise your hand section. And if you can identify this plant, and you could send us the answer, and we'll actually put it online. I have a weird feeling that I may have grown this same thing myself, but if I did, it's been almost 40 years ago, and I lost it in probably in the '98 frost, unless I overwatered it. It's a bulb. Eric and Ann Brooks also sent this in. They can't remember what it is, and like all of us who have to collect every single plant, we tend to lose tags as well. It was actually Sandy Masuo, who's the last slide we were looking at of the Pellergonium. She actually commented that one of her projects during COVID was to put all of her plants on a spreadsheet. So some of us are much more organized than others, but a lot of us, like Eric and Ann and myself, we lose our tags and then don't know what the heck we're looking at. It's an interesting structure. I was trying to look closely at the flower structure on this, and it almost looks like a Tradescantia, but then the plant structure doesn't look that much like one. So I don't know what I'm actually seeing here. So if anyone actually knows what this is, please pop it into that chat section and we'll try and get it up online. But as I say, it's 18 inches tall. It's been blooming since April, and they're enjoying it, but don't know what it is. So if anyone recognizes it, please let us know. California native here, Romnea coulteri, the Matilaha poppy, one of my least favorite common names for it is the fried eggplant, which I think is an awful name myself. But when this plant is happy, it's extremely happy. It can march across any garden without control. You need to rein it in, give it its space, rein it in though if it tries to start coming up in other parts of the garden. Just cut it off with a good sharp shovel and dig out the sections that are trying to come up. It says here 4 to 6 feet tall and 8 feet wide. I've seen them get much, much taller than that and much, much wider. So it depends, I think, quite a bit on actually on where you're growing it and how much water it's getting in during the growing season. So, but definitely worth it. And also mildly fragrant. It was surprising to me when I walked into a stand of these in Malibu Creek Canyon, and was just astonished at how fragrant they were. and this is another one sent in by Eric and Ann Brooks. But there also are cultivars of this that are worth chasing down that have more and larger flowers on a smaller plant. I'm quite forgetting the name of it. It has cloud in the name, and the brain isn't working very well right now. But that's actually worth, that one's worth tracking down.
Steve, it's called White Cloud.
White Cloud, okay. Thank you. This is Salvia clevelandii, or a hybrid, another one sent in by Eric and Ann Brooks. For many of us, at least for me, speaking in myself, that I find all of the hybrids off of Salvia clevelandii easier to grow than the species, but I'm on very heavy soil. And I just find that the species itself it's really intolerant of watering at the wrong time of year. It will just, it seems to die a lot easier. But I do like the sign there that's with this plant, touch me. It's sage advice. That's really cool because it smells heavenly. The fragrance on this is just, it's divine, especially when the wind is blowing and it just kind of rubs against itself and you pick it up from all over the yard. It's wonderful. So these are tough sages. They can be cut back. I leave the seed heads until I'm sure that there are no seeds left and the birds have taken all of them. The goldfinches tend to like it. And then you can trim it back after that's all done. But even the forming seed heads are beautiful to look at. So it's really all round. It's a great plant, and one of them that is definitely fit for a summer dry climate. This is Iphion uniflorum, white star. This seems to, I've never grown this one. It looks to have quite large flowers. Joan Citron sent this in. Iphion, it's actually called Tristagma uniflorum now. You may know it more as it's a light blue flower. There's also a darker blue one called Rolf Fiedler. I think it's, yeah. And these, I've seen them make carpets underneath oak trees. It's a good under oak planting because in a good year with good rain, they don't need supplemental watering, and they will actually seed themselves all over the garden. So as Joan says, she cuts the seed heads off, but another California native, summer dry, definitely, and really quite beautiful. Parodium Magnifica, this is the balloon cactus from Brazil. The Sandy Masuo sent this in, growing in a pot here. She says it's quite distinctive, and even when not in bloom, it has a beautiful form and shape to it, and there's also great patterning on those the trunk there. And I think, yes, that's it. So thank you everyone for sending in the plant forum pictures, and I'm trying to get back to the